Hello, Parallel University. Today's lecture is the process of death, before, during, and after. I'm Jenny Funkmeyer. This is part 2 of 2. Part 1, after 10 minutes, I thought maybe it wasn't recording sound, and I panicked, and I had to stop and take a look at the video, and there was sound, so I did not have to erase that. So now we're going to continue with the process before death. So I was saying there would be accelerated signs. For example, kind of a feeling, your internal feeling that, man, time's kind of short. Maybe I should do this thing that I always wanted to do, you know, like gonna have wild sex. Well, better have it. You're gonna like go climb the Himalayas. Well, better do it. I mean, that kind of is a thing that keeps throughout your life it happening, but there would be like kind of an accelerated pace of just kind of that feeling of, I think I better get on with my life because it's kind of like getting a little bit short. So there are accelerated signs. There might be dreams. That might be feeling of, you know, letting go, getting your will done, getting your trust done, having that conversation with someone that you really feel like you want to apologize, or you want an apology for someone. Those things, you know, a feeling that you should get those things done. And also sometimes like you get that feeling and you're like, I'm not going to do it. Fuck it. You know, and that's okay too. Okay, no blame, it's okay. My philosophy is get those things done anyway, because we're all gonna die. All right, so there's a spiritual teacher named Osho, O-S-H-O, said the death process is exactly the reverse process of the birth process. And when I examine all the deaths that I have personally privileged to witness, to be with, and reading, I read a lot, and what happens kind of confirms that there is a gradual process that really kind of begin. This is, of course, you know, not like you're going to die in a car crash. The whole thing is not like that. I'm talking about natural death, which is, you know, most of us. So 9 months ahead, there's kind of a, like, if you think about the period that you have kind of, so the period that you are in gestation inside your mother's womb is also the period that you will also be kind of regressing very, very slowly back inside your mother's womb. Your Mother Earth's womb, your human mother gives birth to you. It opens the portal and the channel for you to come into this reality. And when you go back into the other reality, you are going to reverse that process and go back into Mother Earth. So you come with a human mother and you go back to your Mother Earth. You really basically, your true mother is Mother Earth. On this planet is planet Earth, and other planet will be other planets, right? Other planets. So the if you think about the process of how, you know, the first it was like a tiny cell, mitosis, and then it breaks into 4 cells, and then 4 cells breaks into 8 cells, and then the brain is formed, the eyes are formed, the fingers are formed. All that is kind of going back. So just think about that. Slowly regressing. when my doggy, my beloved doggy Tippy died, a dog's gestation periods was 56 to 60 days, and it was exactly that. She started really regressing, kind of turning back slowly into a puppy within those 60 days, and she died exactly about 60 days after she started the process. Right now, since I have this knowledge, I haven't had someone close to me. I haven't had the privilege of having that opportunity to observe someone very, very closely. So I do not have a personal confirmation, but that's what Osho said. And my personal confirmation was watching my doggy very closely, day after day, and it was true that she took about 56 to 60 days to kind of regress back into Mother Earth. Days ahead, there's again some signs. I hesitate to tell you exactly what those signs are, because every case is different and everyone is different, and it depends on your relationship with the person who's going. You know, whether it's a casual friend or a lover or a significant one or loved one, or is it your child or your parents. The signs are going to be different, but look for them. They are very, very obvious that it's time that they're going. This is days ahead, maybe even like a month ahead. You kind of know. You pretty much know. Everyone knows. The person who's dying knows. The people surrounding that person knows. Everyone kind of knows. And there are people that are like, no, don't die, don't die. And it's really hard. Those days ahead of the actual death, it's really hard when there are family members that are like, or the person who's dying that just can't let go of certain things. Family members telling them they can't die. The person who's dying having things that are just like chewing up at their heart. And that makes it really, really difficult to die. So best not to do that and have some peace. I know, right now I sound so confident and I'm like in lecture mode, you know, like when death is happening, it was hard, it was terrible. When my doggy died, when my mom died, when my sister died, when my brother died, man, one day it's gonna be me, like, oh shit. So after I'm gone, you can see my video and said, well, she was alive. Who knows when I'm gonna go, huh? When are you gonna go? So the things that you will be looking to kind of see is memory slipping, mobility, not eating a lot, not drinking a lot, and the desires either becoming stronger or weaker, like no real desire to do things anymore, like did not want to start things. Memory, no longer remember things, or many things coming back. Some things coming back really strong, and some things you can't no longer remember. Like, where did I go to school? What's the name of my high school teacher? Like, those things are slipping away, but then like some poignant moments in your life, just like maybe the first time you ever saw her face, the day that you fell in love, that is so good. That is so good. You remember that just clearly. So those things are beginning to happen, and of course that's not 100% the sign of death. It's just those are the kind of things. So moving on to during. Okay, I'm talking about someone who's like time has arrived and this person is dying. So the first thing I want to do is read to you the Tibetan Book of the Dead. This is my personal copy. It has fallen apart over the years. I have read this most significantly to my beloved teacher Mama D when she died. Sorry. I read the Tibetan Book of the Dead. This copy You don't think I'm dying? I hope I'm not. I hope this is not an accelerated sign of death of Jenny Funkmeyer. I don't want death. I want ascension, so I'm not gonna die. We all say that. Anyway, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, this version is a translation with commentary by Chogyam Trungpa with Francesca Fermenti. Chogyam Trungpa is the Tibetan monk who's a very colorful figure who started the Nairobi University, among other things he did. He's amazing. He really is the first person to kind of systematically brought this Tibetan knowledge to the West. So it's a really, I find it to be, when I read it in a very meditative state, it's a very accurate description of an ordinary person's death. This is kind of like your ordinary person, you know, not a ascended master, lama, teacher type person. Those people actually have a different kind of, they see different things. So this is, it tells you exactly what it is after you die. After you die, what happens. But this is, hey, quiet there! What the fuck? Neighbor moving. Bear with me, okay? I hope you can hear. Maybe I'll shout. Hey, careful there! Be careful, man! Quiet! Anyway, okay, I'm going to read to you what Chogyam Trungpa says the progress of the death. The body, physically, you feel heavy when the earth element dissolves deeper and deeper, dissolves into water. And when water dissolves into fire, you find that the circulations begin to cease functioning. When fire dissolves into air, any feeling of warmth or growth begins to dissolve. And when air dissolves into space, you lost the last feeling of contact with the physical world. Finally, when space or consciousness dissolves into the central nadi, there is a sense of internal luminosity and inner glow when everything has become completely introverted. So death is the explosion birth is the explosion of creativity, and death is the introvert process of creativity. So one is shoots out and one is go back in. Shoots out, go back in, shoots out, go back in. That's the process of life. So when you look at what Western science and medical doctors say, the hospital they know exactly what happens when people die. Like if you're a medical doctor, if you are studying medicine, that's the first thing you will learn is what happens when a person died. It's actually, I'm really, really amazed at Western medicine. Western medicine is really incredible. They know a lot. They can, pinpoint things. It's really scientific and it's really amazing. I have a lot of respect for hospitals, the whole medical, Western medical tradition. Of course, I myself put a lot of faith in natural medicine myself. So, so in terms of what Western doctors say is the first thing is the breath, the breathing slows, the limbs go cold, the hearing starts to fade, the heartbeats slow down, and finally the brain flatlines. Up till the brain flatlines and the heartbeat really start to slow. This is exactly what Chukyam Trungpa said in the passage that I read to you. Not so much not in these words, but in a more fancy Tibetan kind of language, in a spiritual language. But that's exactly what happens. This process, the breathing slow, the limbs go colder and colder, hearing fades and heartbeat fades. Those are reoccurring like a waves. And if you remember, the birth process also happens like a wave, like your mother feels this contraction, like maybe one contraction one day, and then the next day 2 contractions, and then the third day like 5 contractions, and then it just kind of picks up speeds until the day of the birth. It's like contractions every minute, a contraction every 30 seconds, a lot of contractions. So this kind of the introverted process of going back out also occurs like a wave. It's just kind of slowly, the breath starts slowing down, limbs get colder and colder, this person needs a lot of covering, and then the heartbeats are slowing, can't hear very well. It recurs like a wave, and then it's just kind of getting more and more intense. There is a very interesting moment about sometimes 24 hours, sometimes just a few hours right before the actual event of ceasing, the brain flatlining, the heart going away. The person would just come back and be very, very clear, like nothing happened, like they're able to converse very well, everything is good. It's almost like, just in Cantonese it's called 回光返照. The light reverse itself, and now you can see this life really beautiful. The person who's dying is able to look at everyone that's in the room and like really assess who they are and how, just be able to sometimes say the things that they were never able to say, because it's like, I'm going to die in 2 hours. I might as well just say this. They were able to say, like, I cheated you. I'm sorry. I actually really love you. And the person, the other person will be able to say, well, it's forgiven. I actually know. The really deep conversations like that. Grandfathers will sometimes be able to say, well, I have, my wristwatch is in the bottom of my shoes closet, and I want to give it to grandson so-and-so. By now, it's like, you can just be very free. And that there's a clear moment that happens. Again, I'm talking about generality. It does not happen to everyone, but that's happen. It's so like the birth process, the reverse happens, the slowing down, and then finally the brain flatlines. That's brain flatline is that's considered death. The heart, prior to that, when the heart stops, you can pump the heart back, and it's okay. But when the brain flatlines and go away, that person is gone. That memory, all those thinking, all the story, really, this is what a person is in a life. It's the story. It's the story that I'm a Chinese American woman and I am this age and I live here and this is what I do and this is my daughters and this is my husband. All these stories in my head, when my brain flatlines, they no longer. So who I am leaves the body. The third eye becomes very active. You can see the other dimensions that you're going into. This death is really going into the other dimension, and the other dimension becomes much more alive than this dimension. It's a lot like virtual reality, right? It's like you put the glasses on and suddenly you see the alien sitting in your couch, eating, drinking a Coke, and over there in the window, like, stars are just streaming in, and then some fairy is just flying by. Well, it's like that when you die. Free virtual reality. Isn't that wonderful? Huh? So free virtual reality theater is now happening. You're seeing an overlay between this physical reality that's very familiar and then the other reality of fairies and angels and extraterrestrial, and all these things are just kind of overlaying itself onto reality, onto physical reality, and you're beginning to see that very, very clearly. Then you have an out-of-body experience, OBE. The out-of-body experience, and then some people die with a my sister, when she died, her breath slows, and it was like, she just wasn't breathing, and the heart wasn't beating, and I was like, I'm just kind of looking at her, and I'm like, Helena? And then she would go, and I'm like, ooh! And then she would be, and then she's like, and she's breathing again. And then a little while later, again, she just like, she doesn't breathe. It was like 10 minutes, she doesn't breathe. And I'm like, I'm going closer and closer again, kind of. And then she would come back and breathe again. And that process just kind of, and finally I had to wait, like, I learned my lesson. I waited for like a whole hour. She wasn't breathing. And in fact, the hospice nurse comes in and she's like, well, what do you think? I said, she hasn't breathed for a whole hour. I think it's over. And the nurse was like, you didn't come and get me? No, why should I? She was just peacefully passing away. That's why death is called pass away. Pass away. Pass away. Okay. The out-of-body experience is the end of the death process, the physical death process. This is in this realm, and now out of body you're going to go to the other realm, the spirit realm. In the spirit realm, I'm going to go over here. The spirit realm, can you see? Your outer body, the soul goes out of the crown chakra. From your base chakra, your soul goes out, and you are tied with a silver cord, a very thin very strong. It's made of very strong material. The silver cord is made of a very strong material. Still tied to your physical body, and you float a lot of time above your body. Shit, the whole time. Dang, the whole time I'm looking at the. Okay, so you float above your body. Usually you kind of rise up towards the ceiling of the room that you are in. You're still in the room, you're kind of not quite like, you know, not quite used to being able to fly, and not quite used to be able to, you know, in a different way. Your body is different now. That's one thing to remember, is that death is a process of changing bodies. Remember, in the other lecture we talked about the body, your current body is going to be destroyed. So it's basically a process to change body. And also because you don't remember who you are, you're losing your memory, it's a process of changing the story that comes with that body as well. It's a kind of a complete loss of memory. Like, that's what death is. Death is a concept, because we are spirit, we are souls and energy, made of energy, and energy never goes away. It's indestructible, it's eternal. So all it is energy does change form. And so the death process is the process to change form from one way, from this way to the next way. So you still have a body. Here you have shed your physical body, and now you are immediately in your spirit body. Now you are spirit body, and it's like, whoa, getting used to a new body. Right? It's very different. It's translucent. It's I can't tell you too much more about that, because it's, maybe I'll make a video about that, about what the etheric body looks like. But anyway, so you float above your body, your etheric body, your spirit body floats above your body, and you are a little bit bigger than your physical body. It's kind of bigger, and it has a shape very close to your body's shape. It's more indistinct and definitely translucent. It's definitely not 100% physical. There's still some physicality to it, but it's not 100% physical. I mean, it's a spirit body. Sorry, I don't mean it's not physical anymore. So you float above your body, and at this moment, you will see your loved ones. You will see your mother, your father, your sisters, whoever who has died, and who is kind of close to you, who really loves you. Basically, they come back for you. So if you hate someone, they're not going to show up. If you really hate your mother in this lifetime, your mother will not show up. But if you really love your father, so your father will show up. The angels will come, and if you were, particularly into a kind of religion, that teacher from that religion will show up. So if you are Buddhist, maybe Buddha will come. If you are Christian, maybe Jesus will come, or Saint Mary will come. Mohammed will come. Somebody from the religion that you are really into will come. So I think for the Silicon Valley people, maybe a computer will come, Homo Deus will come. Anyway, somebody will come. And your primary spirit guide in this life, that's generally, I would definitely be talking about spirit guide in a video. It's generally the guy who is most responsible for your life. for this life, and in a person's life there will be a lot of advisors, but then there will just be a very important one spirit guide, unless you are so advanced that you exceeded what the spirit guide has to teach you. Like you're really, really good. You learn everything that spirit guide, that life has come to teach you, meaning your resurrection is going really well. So the next spirit guide will come. It's like, oh, you graduated from that spirit guide, I'm your new spirit guide. But that actually rarely happens. A person usually just have this one spirit guide. You know, it could be a spirit animal too. On the other hand, some people have new spirit guide comes because they've exceeded, they graduated from what one spirit guide has to teach them, and now they have a new spirit guide. So, but your primary last spirit guide that is with you will show up for sure to guide you to travel through a divide, a span of space. A lot of times is a tunnel, and there's light at the end of the tunnel, and you're kind of flying with your spirit guide without walking, taking a train, flying through a green meadow, going towards the snow-capped mountains, crossing the river, running on an airplane takeoff, airport, you know, just some kind of division. It's a takeoff, it's a going. And at that point, when you keep going, at some point the silver cord gets stretched so far, just pick. You have cut off your connection to the other life totally. The silver cord breaks. This is, I think, during the process, again, this is generalization. It's not always true, but most people, that's what happened to them. It's their silver cord goes away, and all ties with that life that they just left behind is now gone. So you sear, you cut the ties. You cut the ties with everyone that you have a connection with in that previous life. Your love, your sorrow, your someone asked me, did this come to me in a dream? Yes, came to me in a dream, came to me in channeled material, came to me with discussion with my spirit guide, came to me through reading. I'm going to give you a reading list, and came to me through research, and yes, came to me in dreams too. And also, most importantly, it came to me through remembrance. I've done a lot of past life regression, and I remember my own process of dying. I remember many past lives. Okay, so you travel through this divide, you go through you go into the light. Now, what it is it's a hole, and it's the hole in the top of a dome-like room. So imagine a big round 360 dome, like a ball, right? Room, and it has, this is a lemon, it's a lemon from my garden. It has, the top has an opening, and the room is incredibly bright. It's a luminosity. The Tibetan calls it luminosity. It's not really, it's not like the sunlight, and it's not like, it's just amazingly beautiful and peaceful and bright, just like it's so bright but doesn't hurt your eyes. yeah, it's luminosity. That's a good word for it. So in this dome, inside this room, is the light. So you are coming through a tunnel. You are coming, your soul is just coming through with your spirit guides and with all the people that are the welcoming party that's come with you, and boom, you come through and you drop into, for lack of a better word, I'm calling it the dome room. It's a big dome. This type of room, called the dome room, is actually very, very common in this life. Just think back on all the big cathedrals. That's what they are. Huge, huge, bright dome, beautiful, full of light, stained glass, you're looking up. And right in the center of this dome room, right, that's usually where the main church, cathedral, that's where the most glorious statues, and you know, that's where the altar is. That altar place is created in this life by the church, by the temple, by the religious people of a particular religion, because this is the room we go to when we're dead, right? In the spirit realm, we go back to the dome room to meet with the spirit guide and to meet with the light. The dome room is actually the light itself. And all your spirit guides are sitting behind the altar, your advisors and the people who love you, and you know, they're all there. Your friends are going to be behind the altar, and your spirit guide is going to be standing in the middle, just talking to you. This process is called a life review. They're going to be talking to you about what happened in your life, and so just think about how clever it is. When I first discovered this, I was like, wow, the church is really clever. I didn't realize how clever they are. I mean, they know before I was born, I remember this place. I'm going to listen to the guy who is standing in the altar, which is the priest, right? Because I think he's my spirit guide. And further complicating the matter is the priest, the father, is going to say, I am your spirit guide. And so there's a like I'm predisposed to listen to them. That's clever. That's very clever. I'm a Catholic schoolgirl. I spent 12 years of my life, from first grade to high school graduation, in a Catholic all-girls school. So I have a lot to say about church. Anyway, this is the first thing. How clever it is that they make their church in this physical life the same, looking exactly the same as the room that you're going to go to when you are non-physical and when you are spirit. So in the dome room, you are going to be welcomed by the light, all love, all peace, all kindness. You do not feel bad. There's never one soul that feels bad. The only souls that feel bad are the souls that are tortured by themselves, by what they have done in their life. It's like, why did I do that? Why didn't I be nicer? Why was full of remorse, full of unhappiness, full of sadness, full of anger? Oh, I hate myself. Why did I do that? As soon as you die, you're like, oh my God, I could have been nicer, couldn't I? Why didn't I become nicer? Why can't I just say sorry? Like, it was so simple. As soon as you die, you're going to just regret the shit out of all the fucked up things you did in your life. Not because your spirit guide or the light is going to go, well, why do you think that happened? They're not going to ask why. They're just there to hold your hand. You're the one who's going to feel bad. They're not there to make you feel bad. There's no punishment. There is no chastising. There's no hitting. There's no hell. There's no hell. There's no such thing. That's invented by some twisted people, because the hell is in you. The light is not hell. It's all happiness, love, and joy. And it's like, wow, darkness only comes when you block the light. That's how you create darkness. When you block the light is just love. So that's why it's like that. You're in the life review, and so that kind of, tells you, like, that's kind of what you want. You want in this life to hopefully, when you end up in the dome room with your spirit guide and the light, you're not gonna like feel too bad about yourself. You're like, you should be proud of yourself. You should be able to say, oh, I did pretty good, didn't I? I was like a really loving person. That time when that asshole, when he did what he did, you know what I did? I just like, all right, never mind. And I just walked away, like I didn't punch him back. You want to be able to say those things. You don't want to be able to say really, regretful. According to Raymond Moody, who is the person, this is a seminal book published in 1975. Life After Life. I love this book. This is how I began learning about death, the death process. Kind of, I'm not sure if it's Raymond Moody, the author of this book, Raymond Moody, or Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. They kind of introduced the near-death experience to the world. Near-death experience means people that like go all the way to the dome room, like go through all this stuff, brain flatline, heart stops, out-of-body experience, go through the dome room. But when they're traveling through, the silver cord did not break because they really don't want to die. So when they come into the room, they're like, dung, 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 dung. The silver cord it's like, they're like, and then the light said, well, did you have fun? Did you learn something? And did you love? Those are the three questions mostly they're gonna, according to Raymond Moody, after interviewing 2,000 people who died, who flatlined and come back, they said the light asked those three questions. Did you have fun? Did you love? Did you learn anything? That's the point of this life, right there. Did you have fun? Did you love? Did you learn anything? It'd be really sad if you're standing in the dome room and go, I didn't have fun, man. I didn't love anyone. Lots of people love me, but I didn't love them. And you know what? I really didn't learn anything. That's a sad situation. Do not find yourself there. That's not a good place to be. So anyway, the near-death experience person, the silver cord is still hanging onto the chakras. And it's like, dum, 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 dum. And after all, and then inevitably the soul will say, well, I really don't want to die. It's not my time. For example, a mother will slip through an icy river and drown. And her baby is sitting on top of the river, just crying, about to slip into the river. And this mother just, go heart stop, brain, tunk, into the dome room, and the mother said, no, don't ask me no question. I want to go back right now to help my baby. Make sure my baby don't slip into the river too. And the light said, sure. Right back into the body, sit up in the river, stand up, grab the baby. That's called near-death experience. Okay. So, after after the life review, which takes the thing you have to know is in the spirit realm is eternity. It's like there's no real time. The time is not being measured in the same way like a clock, like a watch. So the life review in the dome room, it could be just like a split second or a long time. I remember The Snow of Kilimanjaro by Ernest Hemingway. It's a story like that. It was like just when the guy died, he went and then it was a life review of his life. That's the story, and it's a really nice short story. So that's the dome room process of the life review, and then what you do is then it's kind of open, but basically these things will happen. You go to an open space, kind of a large space. Sometimes it's a meadow, sometimes it's like a very nice party space. Sometimes it's like white marble, Roman waterfalls. Sometimes it's nature. Whatever it is, it's kind of in different people sees different things. But anyway, in this open space, there is a lot of people. They are all spirit. They are people that are between life and death, between death and the next life. They are in this place that the Tibetan call Bardo. This place is called Purgatory. It's kind of a holding tank. This whole situation is the Bardo. It's the in between. It's in between the two lives. This happens to people who die. It doesn't happen to people who resurrect. They don't go here. The people who ascend don't even come here. So we'll discuss that in the other videos about resurrection and ascension. But right now, this is what happens when you die. And most of us are going to just plain die, right? So this is just going to be what happened to most of us. So in this open space, you get to meet. It's like a schoolyard. It's like school's out. You know, you went to the dome room, you talked to the principal, you talked to the teacher, and now you just like come back out. And it's the schoolyard, it's recess. Everybody's kind of standing there talking. It's exactly like that. Those, except everyone is a spirit friend, and everyone is friendly. There's no bullying. There's different people. There's a movie called What Dreams May Come. Love that movie. Robin Williams. The editor is May. May. Her last name is May. Or her first name. Anyway, she showed me. There was one scene that was about the open space with all the spirit friends, and about this space. They use 156 layers to create that space. So there's like people flying, people, you know, in very colorful clothes, and some people are not in color. They just now you're spirit, man. You can just be whatever you want. You can be a doggy if you want. You can be a tree. You can be a beautiful woman. You can be a beautiful man. You can be an ugly woman, ugly man, whatever you want. You can wear any kind of clothes. You don't have to wear clothes. It's like you can just be spirit. You can just be like a pink cloud or a white cloud or whatever you want. So you can imagine the fucking scene, the party in this place. The kind of like party that's gonna go on here. Like, man, everybody's standing around and everybody is nice. Nobody is like a shit face, you know? Like they are all gonna be really nice to you. They're all gonna be like, hey, who are you? Where did you come from? How was your life? And like, you're like, oh man, it wasn't good, man. I died of cancer. It was really painful. And they're like, oh, aren't you glad it's over now? Yeah, no pain, feeling good, feeling nice, no problem anymore. Wow, this is so good to be here, Dad. That's the open space with friends, meet up, schoolyard. The next thing you know, you would go in to a smaller space, right? So if you were in like a party space, you would kind of, just like a party, right? You would kind of walk into the room, a smaller room, and in that room, you know, there may be like 10 people sitting around just like drinking. And they're like, huh? You're back. They are your core spirit group, your soulmates, your best friends in the spirit form. In this life, most likely, and again, this is generalization, your core spirit group reincarnates around you and you around them and helping each other. So each spirit, friend, family, the core, they kind of like in the same grade as you, the same class. So they would kind of revolve around each other. They are most likely in a lifetime going to come back together, but then, you know, sometimes they die, you know. They will come back as your mother, your father, your husband, your wife, your children, your best friend, the guy you murder, the guy who murders you, the guy who stole from you, the guy you stole from, the guy who, you know, hit you and like made you a cripple for the rest of your life. You know, like people who have real significance in your life. Those jobs are going to be performed in your physical life by this spirit group, your core spirit family group. So in this core spirit group, they evolve together. You and them evolve together, and basically you kind of keep coming back in different. Sometimes you're a man, sometimes you're a woman. One life you could be someone's mother, the next life you're someone's son. It just kind of keeps changing like that until the entire group move on to resurrection, the next step of changing reality. So here you are with your core spirit group, and then you also, there's a chance that you would go on vacation. You might like go to other dimensions, other planets, other extraterrestrial race. You have a chance to do that. There's also hospitals for the spirits. Like some spirits were really traumatized or did some really horrible things to some people, and they did horrible things to other people, and it's just so remorseful. And some people, their body went through the war, or their body went through a terrible illness, disfigured, just murder, like traumatized, just all these trauma souls. Goes to the hospital. The not trauma soul goes on vacation. You can go to anywhere. You can go to the Bahamas. You can go to North Pole. You can go off planet, of course. You can check out Mars. You can go to Alpha Centauri. Oh, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, believe me. And there's no tickets to buy and no, you know, trip planning. You think, there you are. And you're vacationing. You think, you know, and you got to use the hospital. You're there. You're healed. You're your trauma goes away. That's that. The other thing that happens is you go to a library. A library is a long square room, not square, a rectangle room that kind of has no beginning and no end. It's a whole long room. And in it, I always see it, and there's books on both sides of the room, like go all the way up, just books. And there's like rows of table like that with lamps and candles or whatever, something like that. That's what I see. Maybe other people see something different. So then you're in this library, you are checking out the Akashic records of prototypical lives. So there's a book for mother, a book for father, a book for Irish musicians, and a book for soldiers, and and just different things happen in that book for that person. So you would take the book down and you would kind of like look for situations that you like. What happens is you're taking from the Akashic records and constructing a new life for yourself, because that's what happened to people who died and don't remember who they are, who they were, and lost some lessons, lost some memory. They're going to be reborn in a new body. That's what's coming. So in the library, you're kind of constructing your life. And some people, it takes a long time, thousands of years before they come back. And some people like come back. Like they died and then the next thing they know, a week later, they come back. Some people just don't come back as a baby. They just take an opportunity to walk in to someone who is willing to, like the soul is willing to jump out of that body and go, like doing a shortcut. So there's shortcuts. You don't always have to go back as a baby. As a baby is a very special, right? The baby time is a very special time. So most people choose to be a baby, but some people just choose to walk. Those are called walk-ins. You just walk in to a full-grown body. It's like adopting a dog. You don't always have to adopt a puppy. You can just adopt a full-grown dog and just continue living this dog's life. And when you walk into that body, you will have all the information, pertinent information you need for that person. You would know who's who, and then most likely when you walk in, you're going to drastically change that person's life. So if you think about your life, you have seen people like that, maybe even happen to you. Like one day you were drunk in New York City, and you were working a terrible job. You make a lot of money, but you're really unhappy. The next thing you know, you're like, I'm packing everything and I'm going to Hollywood, right? And when you arrive in Hollywood, you never talk to anyone anymore back in New York City. You don't even, you don't want to remember any of that stuff. You are like, I'm in California now, I'm in Hollywood, I'm a new person. Some people even have a new name. They cut their hair, they change their names, they like, they even don't even talk to their family. Like the family will go, I don't know what happened to Brian. He just like packed up one day and just kind of disappeared. And then someone would say, I think Brian has become like a Swami in what are they called, Swamis? In a certain religious cult. And now his name is Swami Baba Baba. Like, it's a completely different life. That's what happened. That person who is so unhappy in New York City, who is a drunk, who is having a dead-end job, actually said, I'm going to die. I don't want this life. And when that impulse becomes really, really strong, that soul actually pops out, and another soul pops in, and they merge into creating a new life. That happens every day. So in the library, you design a new life. You're using the Akashic records, and then you can also try out. You can have tryouts, and tryouts are like ghosts or spirits, just kind of, like you may, what example? Oh, you pick up a prostitute, and this prostitute's like, oh, really very innocent, very nice, and like you had a wild sex that night, and you paid her $500, whatever, and then the next time, you're like, wow, that was really good. And then the next time you come back to try to find this prostitute, they said, I don't know what happened. That was a girl that I think she said she came from Kansas, and then like she just, you know, did it for a week, and then she just kind of disappeared. She said, I'm going back to Kansas. That's a soul on a tryout as a prostitute. And then she's like, okay, been there, done that, enough, you know, and I don't want to be a prostitute, and then it was done. Or she said, man, love this, pay to have sex, this is good. And design into her coming life, part of her job is to be a prostitute, maybe, you know, a high price, nice escort. In the spirit realm, everything can happen. Your wildest dream, your wildest desire. How nice is that? You're going to die to a new possibilities, new body, new life. This is just good, good. So, okay, so you got your tryout, you got your design, and then there are other things that happens. Cut to the chase, go back to the dome room, finally. And in the dome room, your entire life, the reason it's a dome, is a round thing, is it's a 360 omni-vision projection. You look up in the dome and your entire life plays out for you. And it will be pointed out to you. At this juncture, when you were 7 years old, you could make a change. And if you change, this will be the outcome. But if you don't make that change, this will be the outcome. And then when you are 21, you will meet the soulmate, one of your core friends in your soul group, the family. You could marry her. But if you don't marry her, this is what happens. If you do marry her, the other soul group will be born as your daughter. You know, this reason this is a big dome is omni-vision. Your entire life, just different possibilities, just kind of playing out. And you blast off into a new life. So you come through a tunnel, you go from the light, and you get shoved through this tunnel, and that tunnel is the birthing canal of your mother. Or I don't know what happened if you're a test tube baby. I guess you still need a mother. Yeah, you still need a mother. Anyway, it's the birthing channel and the birthing canal, and the light is now on the other side is your mother's reality and your father's reality. That the light, usually the light's on, it's kind of soft, it's nice, they're waiting for you to come out. If you're a baby, you're coming back as a baby, and whoosh, you're born, and then you open your eyes and you're like, you've forgotten everything, and you can have a chance to learn everything again, over again. That's it. That's the death process. My information, like I said, when I answer whoever you asked, when I'm having a live stream, you're welcome to ask me questions, and I will answer your questions right away. My information comes from my own experience, living multiple lives. Also come from my spirit guide answering my questions in this life. It comes from reading these books, and I will give you a reading list right now. First upon the list is going to be the Tibetan Book of the Dead. I read passage, very good. Raymond Moody's book, Life After Life, highly recommended. Raymond Moody is a medical doctor. He also, 25 years later, he wrote another book, Life After Life, Afterlife. It's very interesting. The findings are amazing. The next one I want to recommend is Journey of Souls by Michael Newton, who is a hypnotherapist and a past life regressionist. He compiled information from, I think, 35,000 cases of past life regression, and then he noticed people are like remembering things that happened between lives. And most of this information, a lot of this information comes from Michael Newton's work. Thank you very much, teacher Michael. Brian Weiss, of course, is amazing. Many Masters, Many Lives is the book I recommend and I love. He's a psychiatrist, internal medicine doctor, graduate of Columbia and Yale, and he's also head of psychiatry at Mount Sinai Medical Center in Miami. So I like spiritual science. So, you know, the Tibetan Book of the Dead is kind of a spiritual book, and these next 3 books are quite scientific. It's called fringe science, I understand. It might be called pseudoscience. That's okay with me. It's not pseudo at all. It's just let the doubters be doubting. These are very solid, learned, amazing scientists, psychiatrists, hypnotherapists, medical doctor. I tend to think that there's a lot of validity to these information, and I personally have confirmed it with my personal experience in this life in different ways. So the next book I want to recommend is Yogananda's book, Autobiography of a Yogi. In chapter 43, the resurrection of Suyukteswar, his teacher, after he died, and he came back and told him what happens. Read up on that. I benefit a lot from reading Osho, The Art of Living and Dying. My teacher in the class called Death Midwifery, Reverend Olivier, recommended that book to me, and I enjoyed it immensely. I usually don't read Osho because I find him just like, but he really knows what he's talking about. It's just a teacher that is not quite my style, but he does have very good things to say about living and dying. I learned a lot. That was a really good book. Wow, this is great. So, yeah, the books. Here's Parallel University. Bye-bye. If you have questions, just write me in YouTube in the comments, and I would gladly answer you. And thank you for listening. Bye.